Hi, my name's Rob Mathews, and I'm a big believer that if you're going to be an entrepreneur, if you're going to lead entrepreneurial ventures, if you're going to lead corporate ventures, then knowing yourself is the first key step in being successful in those ventures. And with that, I believe in a battery of instruments or assessments to help you figure out who you are. And this particular instrument that we're going to talk about today, the Entrepreneurial Leadership Instrument, is very near and dear to me because along with Dr. Goldsby, I helped develop this, and so it's something that obviously I believe in, and I think it's unique, and then it measures a couple of different things, and you can use it in a couple of different ways. Number one is you can use it to figure out what your unique style of leading an entrepreneurial venture is. Now again, that could be your own venture, you could be on a leadership team of a new venture, it could be a nonprofit, a social entrepreneurial venture, it could be a corporate innovation team, or a project team. There's a lot of ways this could play out. The other side of it though is I think you can use it to build an entrepreneurial team, especially a new startup or a project team or an innovation team. So I like what this has to offer. It's simple, it's easy to understand, and it's something that I think can really help you with yourself and the position that you lead from, but also building a team. So let's jump right in, and let's first look at what the instrument measures. It's a 4-quadrant model, and so basically we have the vertical axis measures one thing, and the horizontal axis measures another thing, and then you graph those. Whether it's old school on paper or on a website, you graph those, and you get the quadrant that you fall in, and you kind of get an idea of how strong your tendencies are in that quadrant based on how it graphs out. And so when we think about entrepreneurship, the nexus of entrepreneurship really is opportunity. And so that's really what this measures. The vertical axis measures how you think about opportunity. So on the top end, you have very abstract thinkers. They think about opportunity very abstractly. They're interested in ideas and big picture. On the bottom side of it, we have people who think about opportunity very concretely. They're very interested in the details, and they drill down and they really work on their craft. Okay? Now, on the horizontal axis, we are measuring more of exploring. So you explore opportunity, or you exploit opportunity. You build a business to exploit that opportunity. And when we say exploit, we don't mean like in a negative way. We just mean you go after it. You build a business and capture it. So explore it versus exploit it. So let's see how this maps out, and let's take a look at this. So in the upper right quadrant, we see artists. And artists are what we would call abstract thinking explorers. So they really value creativity, they love ideas, makes sense. They search for new solutions to ongoing problems or challenges. They really empathize with and respect the customer. Thus, they also really value the human condition. They really are sensitive to people. They appreciate the subtleties of their craft. Very hard to predict though. And they're comfortable with ambiguity. So I think someone that really comes to mind, and we've seen this here in 2018 with the times, is Elon Musk. I mean, he would really fit the bill for an artist if we could get him to take this, right? So that's artists. Scientists would be the next quadrant down, so they would be lower left, lower right. They're what we call concrete thinking explorers. Very much focus on reality. They value deep research on a subject. That doesn't mean they're always going to be the one researching, but they value that deep research and information on the subject. They will search for supporting evidence on their ideas. So they're not just going to say, hey, here's an idea, I think it'll work. They're going to prove it. They strive for perfection on their new concepts. They really view modeling and prototyping as a key entrepreneurial activity. So think about the people who really want to construct that product or service model, whatever it is. They're going to prototype it, they're going to model it. They study best practices, and they adapt and develop new technologies. They are creators. So we think of like Einstein and people like that, maybe Henry Ford, Mark Zuckerberg, you could see, but they're very much into the details. If we keep moving around the wheel here, and we go to the lower left, we see builders. And we would call builders concrete thinking exploiters. These are people who want to scale businesses, ventures, and projects. They want to grow them. They want efficient operations. They want to build systems and processes to make that happen. They're going to recruit multi-talented and multifunctional teams. And they're going to lead and motivate to complete projects and to see a venture through. They value acquisitions and partnerships. Think about that. Why? Because they want to see the results of those and the efficiencies that those could bring. And obviously they're very growth oriented. So if you think about a couple of examples in history, I think Steve Jobs was a builder. He was much more of a builder than a techie, I would say. Steve Jobs built businesses, and if you look at the history of Steve Jobs, and there's been some stuff come out on him recently, he was pretty impersonal and downright kind of sterile to people. I mean, he was not the nicest guy in the world by any stretch of the imagination. And I think it's because he was a very zeroed in, focused builder. Now, he built a heck of a business, but he probably left some chum in the water in his wake behind him too. So if we move to the last quadrant, so we are now upper left, which would be evangelist. And I'll mention the person first on this one. If you're familiar with Kara Goldin, she used to be an executive, I believe, at Yahoo, and she was drinking like 10 or 15 Diet Cokes a day or something like that, and she said there has to be something better out there. And so she developed hint water, which is lightly flavored water that doesn't have any sweeteners or anything in it. And so, the idea is obviously it doesn't have all the chemicals that a Diet Coke or something like that would. I think she's an evangelist, as I've followed her on social media. Evangelists are abstract thinking exploiters. They're on fire about their cause. They're going to let you know that they believe in what they're doing. They use very simple messaging to connect with the customer. So that they keep things simple, but it's energetic and it's going to draw you in. They connect with employees through the clear mission and purpose, so everybody's on the same page, everybody's rowing in the same direction. They're able to charm the media, makes sense. They really carry the banner, if you will, for their organization and its initiatives and its cause. It's really important to them. It's very cause-driven. They inspire followers and advocates, so they're going to bring people on board with them. And one thing that's slightly different than a builder, they're going to recruit high-level strategic employees and partners. They're going to recruit high-level people because of that evangelistic nature that they have. So they're going to draw people in that are really strategic to the venture. So evangelists, their lens on a new venture is, I'm going to sell this. I'm going to draw people in, and they just naturally do that. So we mentioned Kara Goldin. I think one person, and we have this in our book about Disney, but one person who was very unique in entrepreneurial history, who was able to really function at a high level at different times of his career and building his company, was Walt Disney. He was able to function at a very high level as an artist, as a scientist, as a builder, as an evangelist. The builder was probably his weakest point, I would say, which is where his brother Roy Disney came in and built the business and put systems in place and budgets in place and things like that. But even Walt understood the numbers really well in the business model. So that I think he's a great example of someone who really, really excelled in all four quadrants, if you will. Again, I think this is a great tool, and I hope you find it helpful in looking at how you would lead an innovation team, an entrepreneurial venture, what have you. And if you have any questions, let us know.